Dark, suspenseful background music fades in. A calm yet intense voice speaks. There is a voice inside your head. It speaks to you every day. It knows everything about you, your dreams, your fears, your regrets. It never stops talking, never takes a break, and yet you've never questioned it. You assume it's you. But what if it's not? What if this voice, this constant stream of doubt, criticism, and fear isn't your true self, but something else entirely? This voice is a silent killer, not in the way of an assassin with a knife, but in a much more sinister way. It kills your confidence. It strangles your dreams. It keeps you trapped in a life smaller than the one you were meant to live. The scariest part? You trust it. It whispers in your own voice. It feels like your own thoughts. But in reality, this voice has been controlling you for years, and tonight, you're going to see the truth. Pause for effect. By the time you reach the end of this journey, you'll understand how this inner voice has been lying to you your entire life. And more importantly, you'll know how to silence it. Let's begin. Your inner voice, the greatest illusion. Have you ever had an idea, a spark of excitement about something new, only to have that excitement crushed within seconds? Maybe you wanted to take a risk, chase a dream, or do something bold, and then that voice spoke. You're not good enough. You'll probably fail. They'll laugh at you. Suddenly, all motivation disappears. Doubt creeps in. You start thinking, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I'll embarrass myself. And just like that, before you even take the first step, you talk yourself out of it. Does that sound familiar? This isn't just a random bad habit. It's the voice in your mind shaping your reality. And here's the terrifying part. It's been doing this your entire life. But where did this voice come from, and why does it have so much power over you? The origin of the voice. It was never yours. Think back to when you were a child. You didn't overthink. You didn't question your every move. You didn't doubt yourself. If you wanted to run, you ran. If you wanted to dance, you danced. You didn't worry about what people thought. Then, something changed. You started hearing messages from the world around you. Don't be too loud. Be careful, you might fail. That's not realistic. You're not as good as them. Little by little, these voices became your own. And without realizing it, you absorbed them. The doubts of your parents, the fears of your teachers, the judgments of society, they all became part of your inner voice. This is how it begins. And from that moment on, every time you face something unfamiliar, something uncertain, that voice rises up, not to help you, but to hold you back. And the worst part? It disguises itself as logic. It convinces you that it's just being realistic. But in reality, it's simply repeating old fears. Fears that were never yours to begin with. The silent killer of your potential. Let's do a quick test. Think of something you've always wanted to do, something that excites you, but also scares you. Maybe it's starting your own business. Maybe it's leaving a toxic relationship. Maybe it's speaking your mind without fear. Now pay attention. What is your first thought? Is it? That's too risky. I'm not ready yet. What if I fail? If so, congratulations. You just caught the voice in action. It's subtle. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand. It simply plants the seed of doubt, knowing that you'll do the rest. Because here's the harsh truth. Your inner voice doesn't need to stop you. It only needs to make you hesitate. And in that hesitation, opportunities are lost. Dreams fade. Life passes by. You tell yourself you'll do it someday. You tell yourself you're waiting for the right time. But deep down, you know the truth. You've been trapped by a voice that was never even yours. And it's been lying to you your entire life. Breaking the illusion. Let's go even deeper. Your inner voice tells you it's protecting you, that it's keeping you safe. But what if Safety is the real danger. What if staying in your comfort zone is the very thing killing your potential? Think about this. Every great achievement in history, every innovation, every masterpiece, every act of courage came from someone who ignored their inner voice. Every person you admire, every successful figure, every fearless leader, at some point, they had to stop listening to doubt. Every life-changing moment happens outside the comfort zone. So what happens if you never leave? Simple. You never live. Most people don't realize this until it's too late, until they're at the end of their lives, looking back and asking, why didn't I try? Do you really want to wait until then to silence the voice, or will you do something about it right now? The first step to freedom. Right now, as you listen, there's a shift happening inside you. For the first time, you're aware of the voice. You're seeing it for what it truly is. That's the first step, because once you see the cage, you can't pretend it's not there. And that means you can break out of it. But before you do, you need to understand something even deeper. This voice isn't just limiting you. It's actively working against you, and in the next section, we'll uncover why. Dramatic pause. Fade to black. End of section 1. This first section builds suspense, engages curiosity, and leads perfectly into the next part. It hooks viewers by making them question their own thoughts, creating a powerful emotional connection. The voice that betrays you. Dark, atmospheric background music fades in. The voice is steady, yet filled with intensity. There is a war happening inside your mind. A war you never signed up for. A war you didn't even know you were fighting. But you feel it. Every time you hesitate. Every time you second-guess yourself. Every time you let fear stop you from stepping forward. You are losing battles in this war, and the worst part? Your greatest enemy isn't out there. It's in here. Your own inner voice. The one that should be guiding you is the one holding you back. But why? Why would your mind work against you? The answer is more disturbing than you think. Pause for effect. Let's pull back the curtain. Your mind's number 1. Priority. Survival, not success. To understand why your inner voice limits you, you need to understand something critical about the human brain. Your mind is not designed to make you happy. It is not designed to make you successful. It is not designed to help you grow. It is designed for one thing and one thing only: survival. And survival doesn't care about dreams. It doesn't care about confidence. It doesn't care about your potential. It only cares about keeping you safe. And in the eyes of your brain, safe means predictable. Why your brain fears. Change. Imagine you're living thousands of years ago in a world where danger is everywhere. A wrong step could get you killed. A bad decision could mean starvation. In that world, playing it safe is the best strategy for survival, so your brain evolves to protect you from the unknown. Fast forward to today, your world has changed, but your brain hasn't. And now, instead of running from wild animals or enemy tribes, your brain sees change itself as the danger. That's why the moment you think about stepping outside your comfort zone, your inner voice floods you with doubt. Don't do this. It's risky. You've never done this before. What if you fail? Stay where it's safe. Stay where it's comfortable. Your brain thinks it's protecting you, but what it's really doing is trapping you. The invisible chains of fear. Think about the last time you backed away from something you truly wanted. What stopped you? Was it really the difficulty, the challenge, the obstacles, or was it the fear of the unknown, that hesitation? That's your survival brain hijacking your future, because to your mind, comfort conquers safety. And anything unknown, even if it's good, for you, feels like a threat. But here's what your brain doesn't realize. The real danger isn't out there. The real danger is never leaving your comfort zone at all. Staying safe keeps you from growing. And if you're not growing, you're slowly dying. The self-sabotage mechanism, you might be thinking, if I know this, why can't I just ignore my inner voice and push forward? Because this voice isn't just passive doubt. It actively works against you. The moment you get close to doing something outside your comfort zone, your inner voice doesn't just resist, it fights back. Here's how. 1. It attacks. Your identity, your inner voice doesn't just say, that's risky. It says, you're not the kind of person who can do that. That's for people who are smarter, more talented, more capable. You're just not built for that life. It makes you believe that change isn't just hard, it's impossible for you. And when you believe that, you don't even try. It creates false comfort. Ever noticed how, when you're about to do something difficult, your mind suddenly finds other things to focus on? Maybe I should check my phone first. Let me watch one more video before I start. I'll do it tomorrow when I feel more ready. This is not laziness. This is your brain's way of tricking you into staying inside your comfort zone, because as long as you're distracted, you're not growing. It uses your own logic. Against you, your inner voice knows you better than anyone. So when fear isn't enough, it gets smarter. It starts using logic to convince you to give up. Think about all the things that could go wrong. What if this ruins your reputation? You don't have enough experience yet. Wait until you're truly ready. But here's what you need to understand. This isn't real logic. This is fear wearing a mask. There is no perfect moment. There is no right time. There is only now, and if you wait for fear to disappear, you'll wait forever. The turning point. Recognizing the lie. Here's the truth most people never realize. Your inner voice is not reality. It is a suggestion. It does not control you. It does not predict the future. It is not the final decision maker. It is simply a thought, a habit, a pattern. And you have the power to break it. But first you need to recognize it for what it is. A defense mechanism, not truth. Once you see the lie, you can choose differently. And that brings us to the most important step of all. How to break. Free from the voice, you've seen how your inner voice works. Now, let's talk about how to stop it from controlling you. This section reveals why the inner voice works against the viewer, making them realize how much control it has had over their life. It builds urgency while leading directly into Section 3, where we will introduce the method to take back control. The voice that kept you. Small, slow, eerie background music fades in. The voice is steady, but with an edge of intensity. For years, you've been living in a prison without walls, without chains, without locks. But you were never free. Because the prison was built inside your own mind, and the guard keeping you trapped. Your inner voice. It has whispered doubts into your ears, disguised its lies as logic, and made you believe that you are smaller than you truly are. But now you know the truth. That voice isn't you. It never was. And now, it's time to take back control. Pause for effect. If you've ever felt stuck, if you've ever felt like you're capable of more, but something keeps holding you back, this is the moment everything changes, because what I'm about to show you is how to silence your inner voice. Not temporarily, not for a day or a week, but for good. Step 1. Separate yourself from the voice. Your biggest mistake wasn't listening to your inner voice. It was believing it was you. The first step to breaking free is this. Recognize that the voice in your head is not you. Think about it. If you can hear the voice, that means there are two parts of you. The voice, the doubter, the critic, the liar. You, the observer, the real you, the one listening. That means you are not your thoughts. You are the one who witnesses them. And if you can witness them, you can choose to ignore them. Pause for a moment. Let that sink in. Step 2. Expose. The lies, your inner voice has controlled you because it's been operating in the dark. You've never questioned it. You've never challenged it. But now, it's time to bring it into the light. The next time your inner voice tries to stop you, pause, listen carefully, and then ask yourself, is this thought actually true? Your voice says, I'll probably fail. Is that a fact or just a fear? Your voice says, I'm not good enough. Says who? Where's the proof? Your voice says, I can't do this. Is that reality or just a belief you've carried for too long? Most of the time, you'll realize something shocking. The voice has no proof. It's just repeating old fears, old conditioning, old insecurities, and the moment you see the lie, it loses its power. Step 3. Interrupt the pattern. Your inner voice operates like a broken record, repeating the same doubts, the same fears over and over again. And just like a record, you can scratch it. Here's how. Every time your inner voice tries to stop you, take action immediately. Thinking of starting something new? Start now. Feeling resistance? Push through. Scared of failing? Do it anyway. Why? Because hesitation is the fuel of doubt. If you give your inner voice even a second to argue, it will. But if you move instantly, it never gets the chance. This is why the most confident, successful people don't wait until they feel ready. They just act because they know something most people don't. Action kills doubt faster than anything else. Step 4. Change. The voice itself. Here's the ultimate truth. You can't stop your inner voice from talking, but you can change what it says. Right now, your inner voice is wired for fear, but with practice, you can reprogram it. How? By feeding it new beliefs. Every time the voice tells you, I can't, replace it with, I can. Every time it says, I'm not ready, replace it with, I am prepared. Every time it says, I'm not good enough, replace it with, I am more than enough. At first, it will feel fake, forced, unnatural. But the mind is like a muscle. What you repeat, it starts to believe. And over time, that fearful, limiting voice, it transforms into a powerful one. A voice that lifts you up instead of pulling you down. A voice that fuels action instead of fear. A voice that finally works for you, not against you. Step 5. Make your inner voice. Fear you right now. You fear your inner voice. But what if one day your inner voice feared you? What if, instead of you hesitating when doubt appears, doubt hesitated when you appeared? What if every time fear whispered, you crushed it with action? What if every time your inner voice said, you can't, you proved it wrong? Eventually, the voice learns. Eventually, it stops trying to hold you back because it knows it won't work anymore. And when that happens, you are free. No more doubt, no more hesitation, no more self-sabotage, just clarity, power, control, the final breakthrough. Let's go back to the beginning. The voice that has controlled you for years, the voice that made you hesitate, that kept you small, that stole opportunities from you, was never you. It was a shadow, a leftover echo of old fears. But now, you see the truth. And once you see the truth, you can never be controlled again. Because the moment you stop obeying the voice, you become unstoppable. Dramatic pause. Fade to black. End of section 3. This section gives clear, powerful methods for silencing the inner voice, making it actionable and empowering. It builds suspense and leads into section 4, which we'll focus on. This section gives clear, powerful methods for silencing the inner voice, making it actionable and empowering. It builds suspense and leads into section 4, which will focus on what life looks like when you fully break free from your inner voice. The silence that changes. Everything. Background fades in, calm yet powerful music. The voice is steady, confident, almost like a revelation. Something is missing. For the first time in your life, you wake up and there's no voice whispering doubt in your ear. No hesitation. No second-guessing. No invisible force holding you back. Just silence. Not an empty silence. Not a lonely silence. But a silence that feels free. This is what life feels like when you've taken back control. And now, everything changes. Who? Are you without the voice? Think about it. For years, you've been defined by that voice. It told you what was safe. It convinced you what you could and couldn't do. It shaped your choices, your actions, your identity. But now that it's gone, who are you? What do you do when fear no longer stops you? What happens when hesitation no longer controls you? The answer is simple. You become who you were always meant to be. The person beneath the fear. The person beyond the limits. The person who was buried under layers of doubt, but never truly lost. That person, they are finally waking up. The power of unshakable confidence. Most people think confidence comes from success. They believe you need proof, achievements, validation, results to feel confident. But that's not true. Confidence is not the result. Confidence is the cause. True confidence is built before success, not after. And now that your inner voice no longer controls you, something incredible happens. You no longer wait to feel ready. You take action because you decide you are ready. You don't wait for opportunities. You create them. You don't wonder if you're good enough. You prove it through action. You don't let failure stop you. You use it as fuel to grow. This is unshakable confidence. Not the confidence that comes and goes with success and failure. Not the confidence built on external approval, but the kind of confidence that cannot be taken away because it comes from within. The fear that no longer controls. You fear still exists. It hasn't disappeared. It never will. But now, it no longer controls you. You still feel nervous before trying something new, but you don't let it stop you. You still feel the weight of uncertainty, but you don't run from it. You still hear the faint echoes of doubt, but you don't listen anymore, because you've learned something most people never do. Fear is not the enemy. Obedience to fear is. The difference between those who live small and those who live fully is not the absence of fear. It's the ability to act despite it. And now, you are no longer a prisoner of fear. You are the master of it. What happens when you live without limits? Most people never experience what it's like to be fully alive, to wake up every day knowing that nothing is out of reach, to chase dreams without hesitation, to trust yourself completely without needing permission or approval. But you are stepping into that life right now. Imagine speaking without fear of judgment, taking risks without fear of failure, moving forward without looking back. Imagine waking up with absolute clarity. No more second-guessing, no more what-ifs, just certainty, purpose, freedom. This isn't some far-off fantasy. This is your reality, if you choose it. The final test, your choice. Now there's only one thing left to do. You have the knowledge. You have the power. You have the tools to silence the voice forever. But knowing is not enough. You have to choose, because right now, you stand at a crossroads. One path leads back to the old you, the one controlled by doubt, hesitation, and fear. The other leads forward, to the version of you that is fearless, unstoppable, and truly free. And the only thing standing between those two paths? Your decision. This is the moment where everything changes. Not tomorrow, not someday. Right now. Because at the end of the day, The only thing more terrifying than breaking free is staying trapped. The final awakening. Your inner voice was a silent killer. It stole time. It stole confidence. It stole possibilities. But now, you see the truth, and once you see the truth, you can never be controlled again. So take this moment, take everything you've learned, and step forward into the life you were always meant to live, because the voice is no longer in control. You are. Dramatic pause. Fade to black. End of section. 4. This final section ties everything together, making the audience feel an emotional breakthrough. It gives them the final push to take action while leaving them with an unforgettable sense of empowerment. Now, for the final one-line CTA. The voice in your head lied to you. Don't let it write the rest of your story.